The drive of empire builders to dominate their world has gone on for thousands of years, but it took a new turn in the 1970s when I was an economic hitman. The war in Vietnam, the debacle of Vietnam, pretty much proved that this could no longer be done through military forces. And so the idea was to dominate economically. And my job was to identify countries with resources our corporations wanted, like oil or minerals, other resources, and then to arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sister organizations. The money had to go to our own corporations to build big infrastructure projects in that country, like electric power systems and industrial parks, things that benefited a few wealthy families in those countries, as well as our own corporations that made big profits. But it put the countries into deep debt. And then we basically owned them. They became part of our empire. We could dictate to them at what prices they would sell the resources that our corporations wanted. We could tell them to vote with us at the United Nations against Cuba or something else and let us build a military base on their soil. We were extremely good at this. But now, along comes China. In this new book that I've written, which is really the third edition of the Confessions of an Economic Hitman series, this one focuses on China's strategy. And China has learned from the mistakes that I and other economic hitmen from the United States made, and also from our successes. So China's doing a much more effective job. It's taken over much of the world. It is the #1 trading partner, the #1 investor in countries all over the world: Africa, Latin America, the Middle East, Asia, even Europe, even the United States. And so China has really come to dominate this whole process. They have taken this economic hitman strategy to new levels. But what's important is to understand that no matter who uses this economic hitman strategy, whether it's the United States or China, it doesn't matter. It's taking us into destruction. It's taking us to climate change, income inequality, species extinction, environmental destruction. Those are all symptoms of the death economy, an economic system that's polluting and consuming itself into extinction. And it's run by one goal alone, and that is to maximize short-term profits and materialistic consumption. That's the goal of the United States as economic hitman. That's the goal of China's economic hitman. And so what we need to understand is this has to end. We're headed toward the precipice as humans on this planet. We've got to turn this around. And China and the United States can disagree on everything else. We can disagree on everything else. It doesn't matter what it is. We can fault them for what they're doing in Taiwan and Hong Kong. They can fault us for what we're doing in Iraq and Afghanistan and on and on. But let's agree that we've got to end climate change. We've got to end species extinctions. We've got to end environmental destruction. We've got to transform the death economy to a life economy. And this is where I find my book, the new Confessions of an Economic Hitman, third edition, to be extremely important. It's the best book and the most important one I've ever written. I'm totally convinced of this because it outlines a plan for how we can transform the death economy to a life economy. And it actually talks about how each individual can do this. It sets up a whole process whereby every reader, you, all of you, every reader, can look at what do I most want to do for the rest of my life? What'll bring me the greatest satisfaction? And how do I do this in a way that participates in transforming the death economy to a life economy? We are at an incredible time in human history. I feel blessed. We all should feel blessed. You should feel blessed that you're alive at this time where we have these huge challenges, but also an incredible opportunity to redefine, to redirect what it means to be human beings, being on this planet, this incredibly beautiful planet that we're inheriting and that we have a responsibility to pass on to future generations. We are at this incredible time in human history. Let's feel so blessed to be part of it. Thank you.